Lisa Wool, the Executive Director at the Nanticoke Watershed Alliance, and wow, what a year 2020. I have a feeling for a lot of data sets there's going to be a little asterisk next to this year with the global pandemic and all those things. We've had some sad losses. We've also had some positives come out of I guess, a silver lining. Seems like a lot more people have really noticed nature around themselves and in their yard, and so while we are so pleased that our volunteers and staff have really just rolled with the changes and done some things differently to accommodate these changing times, we also are just excited to see a renewed spirit with people interested in nature and interested in the nature that exists in their yards as well. So this year we've actually been doing tons of projects with homeowners and doing rain gardens and pollinator meadows and all types of things. So definitely let us know if you're interested in something like that for your yard. We also have been working with the towns of Laurel and Seaford. They've been doing some really nice projects as well that benefit nature and then also the town and stormwater control, as well as some poultry farmers. So we've been doing a lot of poultry farms and converting moat areas to pollinator meadows and monarch butterflies and all different things. So we hope you'll check out our website and check out the report and learn a little bit about what you can do in your yard to help out.
Hi, I'm Beth Wasden. I'm the Volunteer and Outreach Coordinator at the Nanticoke Watershed Alliance. One of the duties I have as the Volunteer and Outreach Coordinator is managing our Nanticoke Creekwatchers program. So I'd like to welcome you today to our 2020 Nanticoke River Report Card launch. First of all, before we get into the grades, I would like to give a big, huge thank you to our Nanticoke Creekwatchers, who in spite of COVID discovered that, hey, creek watching at most of our sites is a really awesome socially distanced activity that can be done. Last year, our creek watchers monitored 34 sites in the Nanticoke River and neighboring Fishing Bay watersheds. They went out every other Sunday or Monday, their choice, and collected data as well as some water samples. One thing that you do want to keep in mind about last year, unlike every other year, creek watchers only collected 7 nutrient samples as opposed to 17. Also, they only began collecting nutrient samples in late May. That means that the time of the year where we usually see the highest total nitrogen in the early spring, there was no data. This is going to impact the grades that we got for total nitrogen and total phosphorus, so as you follow along and read through the report card, please keep that in mind. That is something that we highlighted a couple of times during the report card for that reason. Chlorophyll A, we mostly had a complete season, but we did collect 2 fewer samples at the very beginning of the spring season than we would have in a normal year. So again, that can have an impact on the grades. Our other parameters, we collected our normal 17 sampling periods worth of data, so those are consistent with previous years. Before I get to the grades, I would also love to thank our long-term ongoing supporters. They are primarily the Delaware Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control and the Chesapeake Monitoring Cooperative. Both of those entities provide us with funding and technical support, and we couldn't do the program without them. In addition, our data are housed at the Chesapeake Data Explorer, which is a website that the Chesapeake Monitoring Cooperative manages. That data is available to anyone to go on and check out, and we encourage you to go on and see what's happening with your local waterways. If we look at the 2020 report card, you're going to see that there are 2 grades, 2 primary grades. A river grade that consists of the upper Nanticoke, which runs from Seaford down to Sharptown, and the lower Nanticoke, which are points south of Sharptown. The river overall received a C+. The upper Nanticoke actually received a C, the lower Nanticoke a C+. Some of the highlights of 2020 were that water quality once again slid down in the upper Nanticoke, falling from a C+ to a C. We also saw the worst chlorophyll A grades in the upper Nanticoke, and that was for the 2nd year running. So The upper Nanticoke continues to be an area of major concern, and one of the reasons why is because the region just north of that, the Delaware headwaters, has some of our best water quality. So we certainly would like to see the number of nutrients in the river, in that part of the river, decrease so that we can get fewer algal blooms. And in turn, that's going to improve things like water clarity, which is really important for a lot of critters in order to survive in our waterways. If we look at the creeks, our two paragons, our shining water systems, are the Delaware headwaters and the Marshy Hope Creek. That continued in 2020. The Delaware headwaters actually bumped up to a solid B, while the Marshy Hope remained flat at a B-. The other two segments in our creeks area are Broad Creek and the Lower Creeks. Lower Creeks received a C+, while Broad Creek received a C. And again, Broad Creek is one of those areas of concern because we've seen diminished water quality in that sub-watershed over a period of time. It continues to trend downwards, and we would like to see some improvements in that sub-watershed as well. One thing that I want to point out, and again, this is probably very much related to the reduced number of nitrogen and nutrient samples that we took last year, but Broad Creek was the only of the creek sub-watersheds to score an F. And that probably doesn't sound incredible to you, but after grading the report card for many, many years, it's incredible to see both the Delaware headwaters and the Marshy Hope Creek not having Fs in total nitrogen. Lastly, Fishing Bay is a neighboring watershed. Our partners, Dorchester Citizens for Planned Growth, monitor 4 sites in Fishing Bay. We also use some data from the Chesapeake Bay program in order to calculate a grade for Fishing Bay. Unfortunately, Fishing Bay was consistent as it has been since 2018, scoring a D+. The only major change that we saw was a negative change in that total phosphorus scored an F. Keep in mind that DCPG collected 17 nutrient samples, so unlike us, they had a regular number of samples that were analyzed to come up with their final grades. So thanks again for joining us today for the 2020 Nanticoke River Report Card. I encourage you to get involved, volunteer, attend one of our programs like Pots for Pollinators or a trash cleanup. Or, as Lisa mentioned, get involved in your own home landscapes. We have a ton of resources for homeowners, churches, and businesses to check out and use in your landscapes to make your landscapes Nanticoke River. So we hope that you'll join with us and make the Nanticoke River healthier. Thank you.